Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Friday night, and after a long week of teaching, thought it would be fun for us to do a video game review for the video game section of the YouTube channel. When I was a young man in the third grade, I used to see a commercial for a local comic book shop that played this song, and it captivated me, it intrigued me, haunted me in my dreams, and it was not until later that I found out that this was the Pride of the X-Men, the X-Men pilot cartoon made by Toei Animation. And I actually vaguely remember this being on my old 11-inch black and white TV when I was about 5 years old. Years later, I came across this very cool issue of Marvel Age magazine, which goes into great detail about the development and prospects of the Pride of the X-Men cartoon, and down to the character designs and some storyboards are actually included in this magazine, and it is fantastic. And a la Classic Gaming Quarterly, I think we really need to do some reading of this article, because it goes very in depth, shows the character models, the storyboards, and the optimistic outlook for Pride of the X-Men. And sadly, this only ended up being one episode of really high-quality Japanese animated adaptations of late 1980s X-Men. But more than Pride of the X-Men just being a cartoon, it also became a video game, and that is what we are going to be reviewing today. We are going to be playing the X-Men arcade game on our PlayStation 3. So, without further ado, let's hit the lights, and we will play X-Men, made by the once great video game company known as Konami. So we'll position our camera like so, pan out a little bit here, and we'll see Magneto and his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We'll turn our volume up a little bit here, not too loud because you don't want to wake up the family. And this is an arcade side-scrolling beat-em-up that, along with Simpsons the arcade game, and Captain America and the Avengers and Ninja Turtles, was really all the rage when I was in elementary school. And thankfully, this game was made available for a brief period back in the early 2010s. Unfortunately, it is no longer available to download, but if you were fortunate enough to own an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3, you were able to download this game, and it is quite good. They do some modern redrawing of the character models for these screens here, where you're selecting what type of game you want to play, local game, online game, whatever. And as you just saw, the final splash screen was redrawn with more modern line work and coloring technique, which I'm actually kind of disappointed that they did that. But with this particular game, we can choose between playing the American and Japanese ROM. I prefer to play the Japanese ROM. And we can choose how many players we want, you can mess with our difficulty, etc. And without further ado, let's get down to some gameplay of X-Men, the arcade game. Now, we can choose between Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Cyclops, and Dazzler, and Nightcrawler. These are all the X-Men that are featured in Pride of the X-Men. Of course, we will choose Wolverine. Now, this may just be me, but when I get knocked out on this game, I am not able to change characters, and I don't know what I am doing wrong. So here we see Magneto using the tools of his oppression, the Sentinels, against the humans who he is oppressed by. Go and save the city. Alright, go X-Men. So this game is a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up, meaning that we can basically punch, jump, kick. This game has an insane soundtrack. I somehow ended up with this soundtrack digitally downloaded. I don't even know how I ended up with that. I think my friend downloaded it for me as a present. It is amazing. I particularly like the closing credits entitled "They're Peaceful, Loving People." And when you do beat this game, you get an amazing closing credits where you get comic book panels from all of the late 70s through 1980s X-Men artwork, while this amazing J-pop instrumental plays. Now, the cool thing about this game, it gives you this special move you can do. I'm doing this by hitting triangle, and it will fill up the whole screen and really do a lot of damage to your enemies. Now, if you have played a Japanese X-Men game, like Marvel vs. Capcom, you know that the Japanese programmers of the 80s and 90s and game developers did a very good job at having a Japanese sensibility to the game, meaning very high-quality gameplay and very over-the-top features and very fast-paced gameplay, but really did an amazing job of capturing the aesthetic of the property. So when you play this game, or when you play the Marvel vs. Capcom games, there's a really close attention to detail that really maintains the look and feel of the cartoon and comic books of X-Men. In this case, Pride of the X-Men. Here comes Pyro. Now, this game, I really enjoy the fact that it features Japanese translated English, meaning it's called, lovingly referred to as English. So you'll get all kinds of really exciting, but to the native English ear, awkwardly pronounced things said by your enemies. As we get closer and closer to beating our opponent, you will start to flash different colors. If you've played Metal Gear 2, the Solid Snake, you will recognize the opening theme is mixed into some of the soundtrack here, particularly when you rescue Kitty Pryde. It's fantastic. Now, I don't know how well you can hear this, but there is an amazing early 90s rap-style backtrack to this level. Much, much better job than a lot of the Marvel video games they play now. They have that kind of very kind of boring, dramatic, boom, boom, boom kind of stuff. Does not look or feel like that kind of exciting comic book energy that you got when you read comic books in the 80s and 90s. Bold, bright, vivid colors, really exciting, fast-paced music with multiple layers that match the multiple layers in the panels. Multiple layers of sound, multiple layers of image, and that really exciting 90s pop zeitgeist, to use some jargon. This makes me want to wear a multi-patterned t-shirt with a brightly colored backwards turned hat. Oh no. Which I believe I've actually worn in some videos on this channel. Don't knock it till you tried it. Now, this game features not only the enemies that are featured in the Pride of the X-Men cartoon, but other characters that are enemies in the late 1980s X-Men comic books, and which makes me believe that they were probably going to be enemies in the cartoon if that had gotten picked up for more than one episode. Enemies like Nimrod and Wendigo are featured in this game. Magneto has some amazing dialogue. Like, welcome to die, X-Man. So on and so forth. I am Magneto, Master of Magnet. So we are playing this game on our JVC professional video monitor, going through RGB SCART. So we have our PlayStation 3 hooked up through RGB SCART, and it makes these types of old arcade games look really nice. So the Sentinels in this game are clearly not gigantic, the ones that we're fighting right now. But nevertheless, the Sentinels make really great foils for a beat-em-up. Here comes the Blob.
Nothing moves the blob.
Well, I moved him right there. I really fell out of reading the X-Men recently. It just got to be too much to keep track of. I was reading X-Men 92, but as far as the other X-Men, like, I just didn't know what was going on. There was a girl Wolverine, and somehow Sabretooth was back, and then there was like the old man Wolverine, and I just don't even know. It was Cyclops was a bad guy. I mean, it sounded kind of interesting, but at the same time, it seemed like it was really lacking direction and structure. So I just kind of fell out of reading it. Plus, I just haven't had a lot of time to read it.
X-Men! We have been taken by Magneto. However, we had time to locate their base on Island M. Destroy it.
Alright. We're going to go destroy Magneto's base on Island M here. Hopefully you can see how fantastic this game looks. You really need to look up the "They Are Peaceful Loving People" song on YouTube. It is just amazing. In fact, I think I'm going to fall asleep to that song after this when I finally go to bed tonight. We are now in the Savage Land, filled with savages. People making biting insults, preoccupied with their own human will. I think that's how people term savage in the 21st century. Everyone wants to be a savage, but everyone wants to act like they're better than Donald Trump, and get personally offended by what he says, despite the fact that they take pride in personally offending people. Not to get political, I just don't like hypocrisy. Left or right. Alright, come on, Wolverine. This game, incidentally, is fantastic to play with friends. Fun story. So, the first time I ever played this game, I was a senior in high school, and we went on a senior trip to West Virginia, and there was a golf course on the senior trip. So we went golfing, and we got stuck in a torrential downpour, which ended with me bailing out of a moving golf cart as it was flipping over as we were dodging a lightning storm. Anyway, me and my friend were soaking wet, and we ended up going into this arcade to dry off and find shelter. And I found the X-Men arcade game, and I just made a beeline for that game immediately, completely soaking wet. It was like I took a shower with my clothes on. But I found this game, and I played it, and I believe I beat it. And I was just so happy to play that game after hearing about it for so long when I was in elementary school and never seeing it in any of the local arcades in the town that I lived in, to finally actually get to play the game. And then to have the opportunity, years later, to actually have the game on a home console. It's incredibly exciting. Now, with this game, we have infinite credits, so really, all you gotta do to beat the game is just play it. You don't have any real way of losing outside of giving up and just getting stuck. Oh no. I think Magneto's gonna come pretty soon and say welcome to die. X-Chicken. I love that Move On font too. Check that out. More Sentinels. I can't really stress enough how amazing the animation quality was in Pride of the X-Men. The story was quite good too. And apparently Stan Lee wrote the opening theme song lyrics, that is discussed in the Marvel Age magazine. The whole no place to hide, nowhere to run, a mutant age is now begun. X-Men, X-Men, this is the day, this is the day. X-Men, X-Men, coming your way. X-Men, welcome to die. Let's get some of these bad guys out of the way here. Here comes Wendigo. Now, my best friend's older brother has the issue of Hulk 181 sitting in his room in a box that he does not know where it is. It's somewhere in his room, buried in stuff. And I tell him repeatedly, you have a comic book that can go, around $1,000. But I remember seeing that comic book when I was in elementary school and freaking out and remembering how interesting Wolverine's mask looked because it looked completely different in that comic book. Kind of had whiskers on it. If you've ever seen the Hulk 181 comic book cover, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And actually, my stepbrother actually traded that comic. I mean, he wasn't my stepbrother yet when he had done that, because Wolverine hadn't really taken off yet. He's older than me, and he kind of traded that comic book for nothing, and he really is kicking himself for doing that.
Go and rescue Kitty from the cave.
Alright, Professor. We're going to do that right now. Let's go rescue Kitty, and then I'll show you that Metal Gear 2 music that I was talking about. Now, when you play this with 2 players, it's really cool because you can get the other player on one side, you on the other, and you can really kind of sandwich your opponents. And it works very well. So you take this side, I'll take that side. And it's a lot of fun. The cooperative gameplay is great. This game is also very fun to play independently. Very smooth gameplay, very vivid, beautiful graphics. Very engaging music. I just wish I knew how to change my characters when I play this. I hit up and down and nothing happens. So, if you're in the comment section and you know how to change your characters, please let me know what I'm doing wrong. But I'm just gonna play as Wolverine anyway because he's like the best superhero ever. So. These evil robots and their hoverboards. So incidentally, I was just watching an episode of Babylon 5, and Duke from Rocky 5 was in it. It's fantastic. It's like, so this is what it's like when Babylon 5 meets Rocky 5. Ha 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 ha. Man, these stupid flies over here. Come here. Incidentally, on the topic of more random commentary here, what is up with Pat the NES Punk in his commentary on Sonic the Hedgehog? It's completely insane. He was saying, like, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog, he's not popular, and blah, 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 and people don't like him, and this live-action movie is going to be a failure. The live-action movie may very well be a failure because it looks ridiculous. But he's saying, oh, well, it's not that bad, give it a chance, but it's going to be terrible anyway. It's just, he's rambling incoherently for 10 minutes. Which, I mean, I'm rambling incoherently now, but at least I'm doing it as a fan. I'm not doing it in kind of a condescending way that is just completely inaccurate. He's trying to say that Pokemon are not anthropomorphic and all other kinds of nonsense. If they're going to do a Sonic the Hedgehog movie with people, they need to have it be like Space Jam or something like that, where they have a 2D Sonic the Hedgehog running around with people, and not some weird, muscular 3D model. That's my issue. That does not match Sonic the Hedgehog. So as soon as we beat this level, we'll wrap up the review. Man alive. This game by yourself in an arcade, if you're just working on quarters, though, it can be quite challenging. Watching Terminator last night, too, on Comet TV. Man, that movie's fantastic. Reese is like just one of my all-time favorite characters in any 80s action movie. Totally underrated. That scene where they're in the nightclub, and they're like, burning in the third degree, and then the Terminator's gonna kill Sarah Connor. There's Nimrod. Speaking of fighting machines. And then Reese pops out from behind the bar with that sawed-off shotgun, and they're like this 80s dancing everywhere, and a machine gun fight with Arnold, and the guy just like future Trunks. I mean, it's just like the coolest thing ever. The first Terminator is by far the best Terminator. Come on. Okay, fun story. When I had my first communion, I got a $50 bill. I went into a comic shop. I bought a comic book with this Nimrod on the cover. And I was one of the happiest boys in the 3rd grade. Come on. Jeez. We see Kitty Pryde here. She's being held captive here. I think we got him. Turn the volume up a little bit here.
You must rescue the professor.
And then we gotta go get Big Boss, who looks like Sean Connery. Alright, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is X-Men, the arcade game from the fine people at Konami. This game is going to be pretty hard to find, but if you ended up downloading it on your PlayStation console or your Xbox console, awesome. If not, play it on MAME or get an arcade cabinet, because this is a great game to play. Until next time, my name's Noel. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.